So I think as Muslims, we of course realize that we have differences with Christianity when it comes to how we believe in a lot of things, right? But one thing that I wanted to sort of talk about and mention is the origin story of human beings, Adam and Eve, right? We both groups believe that Adam and Eve are the first human beings that Allah created, that God created. And there's a couple, but one big difference in our story as Muslims is that there's actually two coming to mind right now, but I'll just mention one. One big difference is that we are not told in our story as it's retold in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us in the Quran, we are not told that Eve ate from the apple and then gave it to Adam, right? We are told that Shaitan tempted Adam and Eve. That's actually another difference, is that in the Bible, they are tempted, Eve is tempted by a snake, and then Eve tempts Adam. But in the Quran, then they are tempted by Shaitan, and they both fall, they both make this mistake. So neither of them is more responsible than the other. In fact, arguably some say that Adam is more responsible because he's supposed to be the leader in that situation. He's a prophet. But either way, Eve is certainly not painted as the responsible party. Also, that also creates a big difference in that she's not responsible for the quote-unquote downfall of human beings. We don't really believe that either, that there's this big downfall, but rather that we are supposed to be on Earth. And the other difference, there are a couple. There was one other one that was just on my mind. Let's see. Right. So they repented, right? They repented, and it's at least implied that they are forgiven. Maybe they are forgiven. Sorry, I don't have the tafsir right in front of me at the moment. But then that also creates a big difference between the narrative between Muslims and Christians, and that for Muslims, we are told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no original sin. Adam and Eve made this mistake, and they asked for forgiveness, and they received forgiveness. That's it. There's not a sin that then follows into every human being. In fact, as Muslims, we believe that human beings are born innocent, born completely innocent, and your deeds actually don't begin to count until you're post-pubescent. So I just think that's such a big difference. Sometimes as Muslims, we think that, we share these stories with the Christians and Jews, but let's not mention that right now. That we share these stories. But one thing that you realize, because for some of us, we're born and raised Muslim, grew up Muslim, we don't know much about Christianity or the Bible. But one thing you realize, if you do at least look at some of the stories that we have quote unquote in common, is that Allah gives us very key differences. And one of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that God is doing, is correcting some of the mistakes in the Bible, mistakes, lies, whatever they are, untruths in the Bible. And there's a lot of that when it comes to the story of Adam and Eve. Same characters, same general story, sort of, but small differences make a huge difference, all the way down to theology.